Who is a bilingual? So when we are studying bilingualism, we keep coming back to the main question about who is a bilingual. That is because we need to describe or define the main construct of the bilingual before we can actually study it. So a bilingual person has been described as someone who has knowledge of at least two languages. So a bilingual can be a person who knows more than two languages. Now, literature differs about calling them multilingual or bilingual. However, over here in this course, we can use these terms interchangeably. An important thing to remember is that more often than not, a bilingual has varying degrees of proficiency in the languages they know. So that would mean that if a bilingual knows more than one language, then it is a possibility that he or she is more proficient in one language and lesser proficient in the other language. So when we are saying this person is a balanced bilingual, and this is a term that we used earlier also, then what we are saying is not that this person is highly competent in two or more languages. What we are saying only is that this person is equally competent in the languages that this person knows. So, if you know Sindhi or Punjabi, but you cannot possibly write or read it, but you can speak it, then you can still be a balanced bilingual, because then that would mean that you have equal competence in Sindhi and Punjabi. Bilingualism is a fact of life. We touched upon this subject before. Please remember, Africa and Asia are the main examples or the most explicit examples of this phenomena. However, this does not mean that we can't give the example of US or UK or Canada or Australia. All these countries are definitely multilingual, they are bilingual, and with the changing pattern of immigration, with war and conflict, and with so much migration taking place, people and the countries are becoming increasingly multilingual and bilingual. And it's the problem, or I would say the significance of bilingualism is now climbed several steps. Families, we can say, can at times not be just bilingual, but they can be trilingual. Now, this specificity about trilingualism or bilingualism is at times used when you're researching people or researching society. So at times we need to identify whether the environment in which a child is being brought up, is it bilingual or trilingual. However, if we use the word multilingual, that would have been equally correct. But when we say tri, then we know we are exactly talking about three languages. And when we use bi, that means we are exactly talking about two languages over here. So bilinguals, as we said before, can be present in monolingual contexts, and similarly, it is a possibility that there is a monolingual community residing within a bilingual context. But more often than not, because these monolingual communities, as they have to communicate with the larger communities, unless and until they are living in very isolated contexts, they become bilingual because they need to communicate. So in monolingual societies also, more often than not, a third or a second language is learned at school. So the schools encourage the students to learn another language, and the importance of learning another language cannot be overestimated, because it is becoming extremely important in today's world. It is also said that wherever bilingualism is, which is there in several parts of the world now, bilinguals typically use different languages for different purposes. For instance, let's take this example of Morocco. Morocco, if you have this community who have Berber, a language which they speak natively, they will learn this standard Arabic in schools, and then they will still access classical Arabic for religious purposes. And so you can see that there is a division of the functions that different languages are performing. And similarly, you could also take the example of Pakistan. You could look at yourself in your own context. Maybe you know a regional language, maybe it is Balochi, it is Sindhi, it is any other language, or Punjabi, or any other language. However, this is your home language, and then this is also the language that you might be using in the street or in the market when dealing with people. And then there is this Urdu that you must have learned at your schools, and this is a language that you use to sort of communicate with other people who do not share your regional language, or you use it in offices. And then you have again learned English language, which again you must have learned in your schools, and you use it for several purposes, because most of the government work and of the work of organizations is documented in English. So you can see how, although there are 3 languages or 4 languages or so many different languages over there, so each language somehow has been allocated a function that is different from the other function that other languages perform.